Hey there, folks. Tonight, we're diving into a deeply concerning issue that often gets swept under the rug: suicide. Specifically, we're looking at two East Asian powerhouses, Japan and South Korea, both grappling with alarmingly high suicide rates. For years, Japan has held the unfortunate distinction of having one of the highest suicide rates among developed nations. But South Korea isn't far behind, with its own alarming numbers. What's going on in these seemingly successful societies that could lead to such despair? We'll explore the cultural, social, and economic pressures pushing people to the brink. Despite their proximity and shared heritage, Japan and South Korea have unique factors contributing to their suicide epidemics. By understanding these nuances, we can better grasp the urgency of addressing mental health and suicide prevention. Remember, folks, even in the darkest of times, there's always hope. And talking about these issues is the first step toward finding solutions. Alright, let's start with Japan, a nation often associated with cutting-edge technology, ancient traditions, and, well, a certain reputation for politeness. But beneath this polished surface lies a darker reality, a long and complicated history with suicide. You see, Japan has a unique cultural relationship with suicide, dating back centuries. Remember seppuku, the ritualistic suicide by disembowelment practiced by samurai warriors? Yeah, not exactly the most uplifting historical precedent. While it might seem like ancient history, the echoes of this honor-bound act still resonate in Japanese society, contributing to a sense of fatalism and acceptance of suicide as a solution to insurmountable problems. But it's not just ancient history at play here. Modern Japan is grappling with its own set of demons. Economic stagnation, social isolation, and immense pressure to succeed have created a perfect storm for despair. The burden of these pressures often falls heaviest on the shoulders of middle-aged men, leading to a troubling rise in suicide rates among this demographic. Now let's unpack some of these cultural factors a bit further, shall we? Japan is a country rich in tradition and history, and its cultural nuances are both fascinating and complex. Japan has a deeply ingrained culture of honor and conformity. This is evident in many aspects of daily life, from the meticulous art of the tea ceremony to the disciplined practice of calligraphy. These traditions emphasize precision, respect, and a sense of community. This emphasis on collective good over individual needs can, unfortunately, make it difficult for individuals to express emotional distress or seek help when they're struggling. There's a strong stigma attached to mental illness in Japan, often seen as a sign of weakness or a burden on others. This cultural perspective can make it incredibly challenging for those who are suffering to reach out for support. This stigma prevents many people from seeking the help they desperately need. Mental health services are available, but the fear of being judged or ostracized often keeps individuals from taking that crucial first step. Despite these challenges, it's important to recognize the beauty and strength in Japanese culture. Festivals, traditional dances, and community gatherings all play a vital role in bringing people together and reinforcing social bonds. Understanding these cultural factors can help us appreciate the complexities of Japanese society and the resilience of its people. Middle-aged men, the most vulnerable group in Japan. So, who's most affected by this perfect storm of cultural pressures and economic anxieties? Well, statistically speaking, it's middle-aged men. These guys are often the breadwinners in traditional Japanese households, shouldering the immense weight of providing for their families. When economic downturns hit or job security falters, they can feel like failures, trapped in a system that offers little support or escape. Add in the cultural taboo surrounding emotional expression and mental health, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Imagine carrying the weight of your family's well-being on your shoulders, day in and day out, without any respite, with no outlet for your stress or anxiety. It's a heavy burden to bear, and sadly many men in Japan see suicide as the only way out. The societal expectations and lack of mental health support create a dire situation. It's a crisis that needs urgent attention and compassionate solutions. South Korea's suicide epidemic, a different kind of pressure cooker. Now let's shift gears and head over to South Korea, another economic powerhouse grappling with a suicide crisis. This nation, known for its rapid technological advancements and vibrant culture, hides a darker reality beneath its bustling surface. South Korea faces a hyper-competitive, achievement-oriented society that can feel like a pressure cooker, especially for young people. The relentless pursuit of success starts early, with children being pushed to excel academically from a very young age. Imagine this. You're raised in a culture that emphasizes academic excellence above all else. From the moment you start school, the pressure is on. Parents, teachers, and society at large expect nothing less than perfection. You spend your childhood buried in books, attending cram schools late into the night, all to ace those brutal college entrance exams. These exams are seen as the gateway to a successful future, and failing them can feel like the end of the world. And if you don't get into a top university, the societal stigma and personal disappointment can be overwhelming. The pressure doesn't just come from within, it's a societal expectation that weighs heavily on every individual. Despite the challenges, there are efforts to address these issues. Mental health awareness is slowly growing and more resources are becoming available to those in need. However, the road to change is long and requires a collective effort from all levels of society. In the end, it's about finding a balance. South Korea's drive for success is admirable, but it's crucial to remember that true success includes mental well-being and happiness. Only then can the pressure cooker be turned down to a simmer. The burden of success. Social factors in South Korea. So, what makes South Korea's pressure cooker so potent? Well, for starters, there's the Bali culture, which translates to hurry, hurry. It's a relentless focus on speed and efficiency that permeates every aspect of life, from work to relationships to, well, pretty much everything. This constant pressure to succeed can be incredibly isolating, leaving little room for personal struggles or mental health concerns. And just like in Japan, seeking help for mental health issues is often stigmatized, seen as a sign of weakness or an inability to cope. Then there's the intense social pressure to conform, particularly regarding career choices and life paths. Straying from the prescribed path of academic success, a prestigious job, marriage, and family can be met with disapproval and judgment. It's enough to make you feel like you're living someone else's life script instead of writing your own. In this high-pressure environment, finding balance and personal fulfillment can be a daunting challenge. Generation in despair, elderly suicide in South Korea. But here's where South Korea's suicide crisis takes an even more heartbreaking turn. It has one of the highest elderly suicide rates in the world. You'd think that after a lifetime of hard work and sacrifice, older adults would be enjoying their golden years. But sadly, that's not always the case. South Korea's rapid economic growth, while impressive, has also led to a breakdown of traditional family structures. Many elderly South Koreans find themselves isolated and lonely, lacking the social safety net and support systems they once relied upon. Add in factors like poverty, health problems, and the fear of becoming a burden on their families, and you can see why despair can take root. It's a stark reminder that economic progress doesn't always translate into well-being, especially for those left behind in the rush toward modernity. Addressing this crisis requires a multifaceted approach, focusing on mental health support, social integration, and economic assistance for the elderly.